Welcome back to the Learn to Love You show. I am your host, Renita Hills, and I'm also the founder of Voice of the Victim. Voice of the Victim is a nonprofit organization that works with victims and survivors of domestic abuse, abusive behaviors, and sexual assault. Our goal, our endeavor, our drive, and our thoughts are to help people to transition from victim to survivor and ultimately to thriver in spite of the abuse they've endured. Tonight, we have a special topic we're going to talk about. And I want you to get a pen and some paper. And I want you at the end of this to tell your friends about the show. The thing about this is you never know who around you might actually need the help, who might actually be going through an abusive relationship, who might actually be enduring something inside of their homes, but they're smiling when they're hanging around you. So tonight's show is going to be domestic violence personal safety plan. That's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about there are 6 steps to it, and tonight we're going to talk about the first 2 steps. Get a pen and paper and let's write it down. At the end of this show, if you want the actual paperwork, let me know. Email me, put it in the find me and email me, call me, text me, and let me know. And I will email this document to you. I want to say email as opposed to mail it, not because of postage, but because I don't want this piece of paper to be floating around your house and your abuser find it and realize you're putting a plan together. We want that plan to be between you and your trusted person. So let's get started. This is the domestic violence personal safety plan. Hope you have your pen and paper ready. And if not, make sure you subscribe and you like the page. That way you'll get the segments as they come. First and most importantly, only the person in the relationship will know when it's ready, when they're ready and it's time to go. But you have to be prepared. You have to be ready no matter what your situation is. And yes, we're talking about domestic violence, abusive behaviors and sexual assault, but these plans can be used for anyone. So take note. Step number 1, and I'm going to use it as me as the person as always. These are some of the strategies. Number 1, if I decide to leave, I have to think of a place that's safe for me to get out the house. You want to make sure you already have a plan, whether the easiest way to get out the house is the front door, the back door, the garage door. If there's a window you can climb out of in the case of an emergency, have a plan on what door you're going to use to get out. Those things are very important to know. Don't ever back yourself in a place where you don't know or don't have a way to get out of a dangerous situation. Number 2, can I keep my purse and my car keys ready to go at any given time? When I say that, some abusers will have control of where your car keys are and they know you can't go anywhere. So they'll snatch your keys to keep you from leaving. Or they'll snatch your purse to keep you from leaving. I suggest having a second set of everything. Number 1, have your main set of keys that you carry every day, all the time. The copy of the keys to the car and a paper, maybe a paper driver's license. Have that put somewhere else in a safe place, maybe even outside of the home. Maybe somewhere they have those hideaway rocks. Have that stuffed inside of the hideaway rock so you can grab the rock, get the key, and you can leave at any time. They have the devices. I don't trust them as much as I do the hideaway rock, but where you can have a magnetic key holder inside the rim of the car. That's an option for you. Somewhere that you can grab the second set, wherever that might be. Grab that second set and get out of the house. Always have a plan for when you're gone. Have an extra suitcase with clothes and all your vital materials and vital records ready. Have a second set of the birth certificate, a copy of the birth certificate, a copy of your driver's license, a copy of all your medications, a copy of every vital piece of information that you have. Have a second set put aside, and a second set of clothing in that suitcase as well. You don't want your originals there. If he looks for the original birth certificates and don't find it, that's going to throw up a red flag. You want a copy to be put aside and put away for you. Second set of keys, so that if he gets the original set, you have a way to get away. Secondly, I can tell who about the violence and request that he or she call the police if he or she hears or suspects something. I'm a survivor. I've already said this. I've told you part of my story. I'm a survivor. When I was going through my scenario, the main thing I did was I taught my son how to drive a car. Secondly, but more importantly, I told two people that I trusted more than anything else. I told them, if my children ever come to your house and I'm not in the car, number one, take them in the house. Number two, call the police and send them to mine. Those two people knew if my children ever drove in their driveway and I was not in the car, don't ask questions, just call the police. That's it. And my kids knew those are the only two people you go to. My son was like, "Well, Mom, what if something happens to you? Don't worry about me. I need you to be safe." So those two people knew, and they had a copy of everything that I wanted, everything that I needed. They made sure they had birth certificates, everything that was vital records. They had everything. They even had a second set of clothes for each one of my children. So if they had to spend the night, they had a change of clothes for the next day. That was prepping. You have to prepare, and not just yourself and the clothes. Prepare your children if they're old enough to handle it, if they're mature enough to handle it. Prepare your children for the emergency cases that might occur, which segues into our third step. I can teach my children how to use the telephone to contact the police and the fire department. Teach teach your children how to unlock your phone. Everybody has a cell phone now. Teach them how to unlock your phone and how to go into a closet and dial 911 and not hang up. Practice it. Literally sit there and practice it. Tell them dial 911, grab the phone, go in the closet, shut the door, dial 911, and get the police. Teach them how to do that so that they're safe and they're able to help you as well. Again, make sure you teach that to the child if they're mature enough to handle it. You don't want to put that kind of pressure on a child that's too young and they're not ready to handle that big of a responsibility. It's not their job to protect you. It's your job to protect the child. Um, I will use safety codes for my children. My producer and I were just talking about this right before the show. Teach your child not to get in anybody's car if they don't know the password, if they don't know the safety code. Children are young, especially when they're young, they don't know that there's a problem or how to handle the problem between the parents. So, mom and dad might separate. One parent might go up to the school and say, "I'm here to pick up little Johnny, and I'm here," or stop at the bus stop. "I'm here to pick up Johnny. Come on, Johnny. Your mommy said you can go with me." But mommy didn't give permission for Johnny to be picked up. Johnny should be able to say, "What's the passcode?" And if they don't know the passcode, don't get in that car. And I'm saying this for abusive relationships, but I really want that to be said across the board for any relationship. Your children should not be getting into anyone's car or going with anyone without your prior permission. And the way are to know that is if, hey, today's code is blue. If they don't say blues clues, and I'm going dating myself, if they don't say blues clues is the way to go, they don't get in that car. And you can change that code. Once somebody uses it, change the code. And it's not about being overly protective and too cautious. At the end of the day, we're here to save our children. Those are our babies. And if it sounds a little off to the left to somebody else, let it be off to the left to them because your child could come home safely. That's the important thing, is that your children remain safe. So teach your children safety words, safety codes, so that when you are separated, they know how to get to somebody who can protect them. Introduce them to the police. Let them have conversations with the police officers. Let them talk to someone so that they'll know that going to somebody in a police uniform, in a doctor's uniform, in a nurse's uniform, in a fireman's uniform, introduce them to those people who work in those agencies. So if they ever have to run, they can run to those people and not be afraid. They'll know that they're safe. Take them to the fire department. Make the arrangements. Let the fire people know that you're coming and this is why. This is not just to protect you, it's to protect your babies too. And it's not just for the domestic violence scenarios. Children should know that they're safe with these people. And if they need help, they can go to the police, the firemen, the hospitals, the health departments. They can get help from these people because we are, and I say that as we, when you're a public service and you're working for the city, county, state, or federal, you are a public servant and you are required to protect the children when they come and ask for help. They're required to do that. So arm your children with safety tools like those. Next, if I have to leave my home, I will go to. That goes back to saying when I left the suitcases with my two friends' houses for my children, know somebody, find somebody that you feel safe going to if anything happens and you just have to get out on a fly. 3 o'clock in the morning, I gotta run. It's I can't stay here anymore. And you gotta go. Have that one person that you can knock on their door any time of the day or night and say, I need help. And they'll bring you in, shut the door, and not call anybody but the police to help you. Have a safety plan, something lined up, someone lined up to be there for you when they need it. And what I would do is, again, have a whole suitcase already set there so you don't have to worry about, I need clothes, I need shoes, I need my hair products, even to the point of even leaving some of your child's favorite toys at that place. If you're going to buy a teddy bear that they love, buy two so they can have one at home and one at the other house. This is safety planning. It's protecting yourself and your children. And so that when you do leave, the normalcy is not so different. You have some level of normal for the children and for yourself because you're wearing your own clothes. And you're laying out in the bed in your own night clothes. Some level of normalcy if you have your own clothes with you. Next, we're going to talk about I will use my judgment and my intuition. If the situation is very serious, I will give my partner whatever he or she wants to calm him or her down, if that's what it's going to take to protect myself and my children. In that heat of the moment, if it takes you doing whatever it takes to keep things calm and to keep you safe, do what you have to do to be safe. At the end of the day, you want to wake up the next morning and be able to go forward with your life. You don't want to lose your life or lose who you are, or wake up in a hospital or wake up with your children hurt. Do what you have to do to be safe. That's the whole objective of this safety planning. It's thinking forward so you can live a little longer and be a whole lot safer. With that being said, this is the end of our first step. We're going to go to step number 2. You ready? Are we ready, producer? Producer said we ready. We're going to keep on rolling. Step number 2. First step was safety planning during the violent incident. Step number 2, safety when preparing to leave. That's going to all intertwine back into the first step. I will leave money and an extra set of keys with somebody I trust so I can leave quickly when I need to leave. Now, the somebody I trust, that's kind of iffy because your somebody I trust might be across town. I would suggest leaving extra money and extra documents and or keys close to like I said, in that hideaway rock or hidden somewhere in your car, somewhere where you can get to it quickly and be gone. With that being said, I recommend for every person, especially women, because we are the weaker vessel. I know a lot of us don't like hearing that, but we are. Learn how to back your car into parking spots. So when you snatch your keys and you got to run, you ain't got to worry about, ooh, I got to see, I can't see, I'm nervous, you're shook. You can just get in the car, turn the key, and pull off. If you're trying to struggle on how to back up, that gives him time, him or her or your abuser time to get to the car. If you just jumping in and driving, that takes seconds off your time. And every second is going to count when you're trying to escape. Every second counts. So practice. Practice. Practice being in the furthest point away from your house, in your car, in your house. How long does it take to get from that furthest point to get into your car and drive away? Practice. Make it something you do when your abuser is not home. Set your timer. I'm at the furthest part of my house. I'm running down the steps. Can't run down the steps, so I got to take a little more time, although I'm going to fall down the steps. You have to practice. It's something that's going to take you some time, but it can save your life. Number two, we talked about this earlier, keeping copies of documents, very important documents, especially shot records, medical records, birth certificates. You can't do anything with your children without those records. You cannot do anything without those. Keep copies of that somewhere aside from the house. Think about other things you can do to increase your independence. What other things can you do? Do you know how to type? Do you know how to sew? Do you know how to crochet? Think of things that can help you to get a job. If you're one of those homemakers, and that's a wonderful job. Believe me, I'm not taking anything away from housewives and homemakers. Those people should get paid, like I'm thinking 50, 60, $70,000 a year, because you never get to clock out. That's an important job. But think of other things that you can do to support yourself, to take care of yourself. What are the hobbies that you have that you can change it from just being a hobby to being another flow of income? Some of you out there really are great seamstresses. You are phenomenal painters and artists. You do wonderful works. And my aunt can take an old piece of something and she'll change and upholster it and she'll strip it and varnish it. Some of you have talents you don't even realize you have. Change those talents and those hobbies into streams of income. There are so many things. If you like childcare, that can be another stream of income. Think about other ways that you can make money and how you can support yourself and your children prior to having to need those resources. Next one, I will check with someone and see who'll be able to let me stay with them or lend me money. That's those cases when you didn't have enough time. There's a lot of people who don't work because their spouse works or their partner works, so they don't have jobs. So you might have a scenario where you just have, it's an instant, I got to get out of here now. But I don't have the resources to go to a hotel or resources to pay for gas. And you need that person that can give you a few extra dollars to help tide you over just for a moment. Somebody who can say, okay, come to my house. You can't stay here for long, but you can stay here until we can get you into a shelter. I don't have a whole lot of money, but here's $10. Call it Uber and I'll pay for it. You got to figure out that one person that you trust enough to tell, I'm in trouble and I might need your help. You have to find that one person. And I'm not saying put your business on Front Street, because everybody who said they're trying to help sometimes is trying to get the front page story. So be careful. Trust your instincts on who you should talk to about those things that are really, really close to you. And this scenario is very close. and you don't want to put yourself or anyone else in any increased danger. Um, I will sit down and review my safety plan and every other plan in order to find the safest way to leave my house and find a safe place to go. As much as I'm talking to you about safety planning, and we're going to be talking about this for the next couple of episodes, as much as I'm talking to you about this, I need you to find your own local shelter, your own local domestic violence network, and let them help you build that plan. Believe it or not, each city, each state is going to be a little bit different. My city and my state, they have some guidelines where I can pick up right now if I needed to and go to that particular shelter. They will take me in right then. Other cities and states, you have to go through some steps. Other places, you have to prove that you're being abused. Find out what the guidelines are for your city and your state and talk to them and let them help you build your own safety plan. This is a guide. This is just a template. This is to get you started. Excuse me. This is just to get you started. You have to do the work and you have to follow the guidelines from where you're located in your city and your state. As I've said on many episodes and every episode, every city in the United States, every state has a domestic violence network. At the end of this episode, you're going to see the 800 number and it will show you how to get in contact with them. If you don't see that, dial 211 and they will give you the help that you needed. You cannot sit there and let someone else have that much power and control over you. You are an important person. You are strong. You are powerful. You have what it takes to survive. How do I know? Because you're still here and you're surviving. You can do this. With this safety plan and the resources in your own city, you can do this and you can do this successfully and live through and tell somebody else about it. Your children are too vital and too important. Your family is too vital and too important. More importantly, you are too vital and too important to not take the steps needed to protect yourself and all those that are around you and that love you. Come back next time. We're going to talk about the next two more steps of safety planning. If you want these steps in its entirety, you're more than welcome to Google it or go ahead and call me, inbox me, and we'll get that information out to you. This is Renita Hills and the Learn to Love You show. And as always, beneath your skin and behind your eyes is a beautiful, wonderful you. Learn to love you. Until next time, good night.